Hey guys, it's Catfish here again with another research post. Today we will be looking at all the weapon rebalances in the PUBG Mobile 3.1 update. For the sake of keeping this video concise, I will not be going over my methodology. In case you are curious or skeptical on how I gathered my data, I highly recommend you check out my other previous posts, such as my weapon predictability research, my pixel counting analysis, and my weapon hipfire research. Anyways, let's get right into it. Update 3.1 brought weapon rebalances to 5 weapons: the ACE32, the M762, the DBS, the M1014, and of course, the new Airdrop assault rifle, the P90. Starting with the ACE32, the biggest change to this weapon is the rate of fire buff from 10 to 11.32 rounds per second. This is not a small change, and now makes the ACE32 the second fastest killing non-airdrop AR in the game, only slower than the AUG. Let that sink in for a moment. It now kills faster than AKM and M762. In terms of its recoil, I counted the pixels and found out that its horizontal unpredictability per second got reduced from 14.3 pixels down to 10.7 pixels. And its vertical recoil unfortunately got worse from 3.8 pixels to 6.2 pixels, so almost double. So basically, the horizontal recoil improved while the vertical recoil worsened. Now, in terms of total recoil, however, the gun is indeed better now, placing it slightly more easy to control than the M762, but not better than any other gun. So it's still not the best weapon in terms of accuracy, it just kills very fast now. Now, in every other category I looked into, like the damage, the reload speed, the muzzle velocity of the ACE32, and the hip fire of the ACE32, nothing changed. The only difference, or the biggest difference, is just the rate of fire buff. Alright, now the M762. I have no idea what the developers did to this weapon, but across every statistic like the reload, the rate of fire, the damage, the muzzle velocity, the hipfire, nothing changed. If anything, when I was doing the unpredictability recoil analysis, turns out the M762 now actually has slightly worse recoil now. Its horizontal recoil got nerfed from 12 to 13 pixels of horizontal unpredictability recoil, while the vertical recoil got a tiny buff from 6 pixels down to 4.85. But overall, the weapon's total recoil got worse, from around 145 pixels of uncertainty per second to around 151 pixels of uncertainty per second. Alright, let's talk about shotguns. Now, before we get to the DBS, let's just get the M1014 out of the way first. I looked at everything. Hip fire, damage, bullet speed, everything. Nothing changed. I have no idea what the developers mean in their patch notes when they said that the M1014 now has a slightly slower damage decay. I guess that means that if you get hit by this weapon, your HP goes down slower? I have no idea, but in terms of paper stats, nothing changed. Alright, now, the DBS. I looked at every statistic, and the only thing that changed is the damage. The recoil, the reload, the shell speed, everything is still the same, but in terms of damage, the DBS now deals 221 chest damage and 300 headshot damage. Now, it used to deal 244 chest damage and 346 headshot damage. So yeah, that is a pretty significant nerf actually. Might not be what people wanted.
Max, push with me. Here. Just shit! Shit!
No.
Shit!
Wow.
DBS.
Don't push. Do not push.
Don't push. He's not even in there. Oh shit. Don't push that.
Bro, what the fuck?
That DBS killed us.
But it's a nerf. It's a pretty significant nerf. It's closer to S12K in terms of damage now, and without any choke or duckbill attachments, it might actually require 2 shots, both shots, to consistently knock enemies at 5 to 10 meters now, assuming, of course, in practice that you don't hit every single pellet of the shotgun shells.
Just shit! Shit!
Finally, the P90, the moment we've all been waiting for. This weapon is now an airdrop weapon. It has a built-in suppressor, a laser sight, and a bizarre adjustable scope, all built in. However, the downside to that is that you are not allowed to attach any other attachments, which means if you don't like to provide a scope, you are out of luck. On top of this, it uses the historically accurate 5.7mm rifle round, which means if you don't find more of this rounds, you're it's kind of like the AMR or the AWM. You can only use it until you run out. So try to use it more as like an emergency failsafe weapon, not as a primary weapon, because there's no more of that rounds. So the reload of the P90 was buffed, right? It now takes 3.8 seconds to reload if your magazine is empty and 2.6 seconds for a tactical reload. In terms of the rate of fire, nothing was changed. It still fires around 17 bullets a second, which places it quite comfortably in the middle, right in the middle of PP-19 Bison's 13 and Uzi's 21 bullets a second. It's right in the middle. The damage, however, is buffed from 31 to 35 damage for chest shots and from 53 damage to 60 damage to the head. This damage buff makes the P90 now have a practical DPS of 681.7 damage per second, which is unfortunately not actually as high as you'd want. Because compared to guns like Groza or FAMAS, which have a high 700 DPS, or the legendary MG3, which has over 800 DPS, the P90's new DPS around high 600 is actually more comparable to like the AUG or the Vector. One thing I will mention is that I did measure P90's hipfire precision, and it's top tier. The reticle blooms to only 79 pixels even while running and shooting, giving it around the same hipfire precision as the Uzi. In fact, if you take into account of P90's hipfire accuracy, its hipfire DPS is best in the game, just slightly above Uzi. It's quite literally an Uzi with 50 rounds. Now, the P90's muzzle velocity, that's the big one. It went from being around mid 300 meters per second to 772 meters a second. That velocity, coupled with the fact that it now fires the historically accurate 5.7mm rifled round, makes me more compelled to call the P90 an AR instead of an SMG. Because submachine guns typically and traditionally have muzzle velocities of around 300 to 400, making it so that hitting moving targets at long range is more difficult. But when you have a muzzle velocity of 772, that is not an SMG. To put things into perspective, the P90's bullet is faster than the following weapons: Winchester 94, Groza, ACE32, AKM, M762, and DP28. And so if you're engaging mid-range targets with any of these rifles, you can do it even easier with the P90 with less lead. Anyways, that's pretty much it. If you want to see the entire spreadsheet, I'll link that in the description below. If you're interested in using science and research to analyze PUBG mobile weapons and using science to build good tactics, consider joining my clan, Omniscience. The link to join is also in the description below. Until next time, peace out.